Do your songs sound too basic? Like your chord progressions are missing some depth or colour? This video is going to change that. I'm going to show you how one simple idea can take your basic chords and turn them into masterpieces. To begin, we need to know about extensions. These are just scale degrees beyond the 7th, which can be used to add new sounds and flavours to your chords. For example, the C major scale has the notes C to B, with the scale degrees that you see on screen. If you repeat the notes again, the scale degrees continue past 7. This means that each note can appear at 2 different scale degrees. For example, D is both the 2nd and 9th scale degree. Typically, the higher number scale degrees are in a higher register, which is where the point of difference lies. Adding the 9th extension to basic chords creates a series of 9th chords. In this video, I'll run through some of the most common 9th chords and show you how to use them in a variety of interesting and powerful ways. Let's start with the simplest of these, the major add 9 chord. As the name suggests, this is just a major triad with an added 9th note. So C major add 9, often just called C add 9, has the notes C, E, G and D. Add 9 chords have a beautiful, clean sound that is a popular choice. Let's have a listen to it now. Add 9 chords can feature diatonically as any of the major chords in major keys, so they offer an easy and beautiful way to alter your major key progressions. The simplest approach you'll find is just alternating between the standard tonic chord and the add 9 version. Here's how that sounds in the key of C major. Another popular idea is to play the 4 chord in 1-4-5 progressions as add 9. It's also worth looking at how to voice these chords. So far I've played the 9th note high and above the rest of the chord. But if you remember earlier, the 9th is the same as the 2nd note, so you can play it down an octave amongst the rest of the chord notes. Voicing the 9th as a 2nd means that it rings and conflicts against the root and the 3rd. This creates extra dissonance, which can be desirable depending on what sound you're going for. You might see some people refer to this voicing as an add 2. To give you a feel for this, in the next example I'll play the 4 add 9 chords, F add 9, 2 different ways. The first voicing will be like an add 2, with the 9th note G between F and A. Then in bar 4 I'll play a more traditional add 9 with G as the highest note. Have a listen to the difference now. If you're finding this useful, then give the video a like. It really helps more people discover these tips. And if you'd like more insights like this every week, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next video that could take your songwriting to the next level. Okay, let's move on to the next way to turn a simple chord into a masterpiece. Minor add 9 chords. Now you know about major add 9 chords, you won't be surprised to learn that we can do exactly the same thing with minor triads. So C minor add 9 has the notes C, E flat, G and D. Listen to the amazing drama and mystery that adding the 9th provides the minor chord with. Minor add 9 chords feature diatonically as the 2 and 6 chords in major keys. This means they can be used very easily in lots of common chord progressions to give a fresh sense of intrigue. Here's a 1-6-2-4 progression in the key of C major that employs major 7th and minor add 9 chords to provide a smooth and interesting sound. In natural minor keys, you can play the 1 and 4 chords diatonically as minor add 9. Have a listen to these 2 chords in a repetitive vamp in the key of A minor. I'll play them as standard triads and then minor add 9 so you can appreciate the difference. So whether you're in major or minor keys, you have 5 possible diatonic add 9 chords to enhance your progressions with. This means you can go for entirely add 9 progressions, or mix and match as you see fit. Just take an existing sequence and experiment until you find a sound that you like. For example, here's a 1-6-4-5 progression in the key of C major with all add 9 chords. And here's an A minor key progression which alternates between add nines and standard triads. Listen to how this gives the progression movement and emotion. I'll show you the next chord in a second, but if you're finding this all a bit challenging and you just want some help writing your first major key song, then check out my course, Write Your First Song in 1 Hour. Learn more at onehoursong.com or click the link in the description. The add 9 chords we've looked at so far aren't actually full 9th chords. Full 9th chords, which are true extended chords, contain a dense 5 notes in total. Let's look at the first of these, the major 9th chord. The major 9th chord is just a major 7th chord with an added 9th. For example, C major 9th has the notes C, E, G, B and D. The major 9th has a dense warmth compared to other versions of the chord. Have a listen to the standard C triad, major 7th, add 9 and full 9th to appreciate the difference. In major keys, the 1 and 4 chords can diatonically be played as full major 9th chords. Have a listen to this relaxed nature that this brings in this chord loop in the key of C major. Full minor 9th chords work in a similar way. You take a minor 7th chord and add the 9th. So C minor 9th has the notes C, E flat, G, B flat and D. This chord feels like a minor 7th in many ways. It can reduce the harsh sadness of the standard minor triad, bringing a warm or relaxed feel. Have a listen to C minor 7th, C minor add 9 and C minor 9th to appreciate the difference. Like minor add 9s, minor 9th chords can be played diatonically as the 2 and 6 chords in major keys and the 1 and 4 chords in minor keys. Once again, you can swap them into existing progressions to see if you like the sound, or alter progressions on later repeats to freshen things up a bit. Here's an example in the key of A minor which mixes minor 9th, major 7th and dominant 7th chords to provide a relaxed, jazzy feel. If you're familiar with 7th chords, you'll know there's another important one that we haven't discussed, although it was in the previous progression, dominant 7th. I'll link a video at the end of this one if you want to learn more about these chords. And like the other 7th chords, if you add a 9th note to it, then it becomes a 9th chord. For example, adding D to C dominant 7th gives you a chord with the notes C, E, G, B flat and D, which is the C dominant 9th chord, also simply called C9. Dominant 9th chords are a funkier version of the 7th chord, so much so that they are also known as the James Brown chord. They also function like 7 chords, so feature diatonically as the 5 chord in major keys, setting us up for a pull back to the 1 tonic chord. Have a listen to the G7 and G9 chords in this simple C major key example to appreciate the difference. If you are familiar with minor keys, then you'll know that the dominant 7th 5 chord is often used as a borrowed chord to lead back to the 1 tonic. Using the 9 chord like this works, but it doesn't create as strong a cadence as the dominant 7th. Have a listen to the difference with this A minor key example. Dominant 9th chords also work really well as secondary dominant chords. These function like dominant 5 chords, pulling you towards a different target chord. Have a listen to this in action in the next C major key example. An interesting thing occurs if you remove the root note from a dominant 9th chord. It leaves you with a minor 7 flat 5 or half diminished chord. For example, if you're in the key of C major, the 5-9 chord, G9, is constructed with the notes G, B, D, F and A. If we remove the root note G, you're left with the notes B, D, F and A. These notes construct the B minor 7 flat 5 chord, which is the 7 chord in the key of C major. If we use these in a progression, you can hear how close these chords sound. As such, they both function in a similar way, which can be useful when you are thinking about your major key progressions. You can also add a 6th note as well as a 9th note to the same major or minor chord. This creates interesting chords called 6-9 chords, notated with a 6 followed by a slash and then the number 9. These chords have an upbeat sound, with the major versions being distinctly positive. You hear them at the end of jazz pieces to conclude with. In major keys they can be played as any of the major chords, so they have some utility. The minor versions only feature diatonically as the 2 chord in major keys. Have a listen to the sound they evoke in this C major key chord progression. The problem with 9th chords is they rely heavily on the building blocks of other chords for you to fully understand them. Watch the video on screen now to learn about the foundational 7th chords that will allow you to better grasp all chords, 9th and beyond.